The warning bells rang across every monitoring station in the galaxy. Deep space sensors had picked up something impossible. A massive object moving through hyperspace at speeds that should have torn apart any known material. The readings were so strange that most technicians thought their equipment was broken. Commander Vex High stood in the central command room of Station Omega-7. Staring at the holographic display with all four of her eyes wide open, the Thrillaxian had seen many strange things in her 40 years of monitoring the galaxy's borders, but nothing like this. The object was huge, bigger than any space station, bigger than most moons, and it was heading straight for the core systems. "Run the scans again," she ordered her crew. "Check every sensor twice." The young technician at the main console, a nervous Kalari named Tix, ran his six-fingered hands over the controls. His blue skin had turned pale with worry. "Commander, I have run the tests 5 times. The readings are correct. The object is approximately 1,200 kilometers long, 800 kilometers wide, and 400 kilometers thick. Its mass is—" "Commander, it has the mass of a small planet." Vexai felt her stomach drop. In all the records of the Galactic Council, no species had ever built anything so large. The biggest ships belonged to the ancient Earthok Empire, and even their massive dreadnoughts were only 20 kilometers long. This thing was 60 times larger. "What about its speed?" she asked. "That is the strangest part," Tix replied, his voice shaking. "It is moving at hyperspace velocity, but the readings show it should not be possible. The gravitational stress should have crushed whatever material it is made from, but it is holding together perfectly." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out at dozens of monitoring stations. The Galactic Council's emergency communication network buzzed with panicked reports. Within hours, representatives from all 12 member species were gathering for an emergency session on the Council's homeworld of Nexus Prime. The Council chamber was a beautiful dome made of crystallized starlight, where beings from across the galaxy could meet in comfort. Today, that comfort was nowhere to be found. The air was thick with tension and fear. High Chancellor Mordoon, an elderly member of the wise Zentari species, called for order. His long silver beard floated gently in the low gravity as he spoke. "Fellow beings of the Council, we face something unprecedented. This object appears to be artificial, but its size and capabilities are beyond anything in our historical records." The representative from the warlike Corvin species, General Thakmore, slammed his massive fist on the table. "It could be a weapon. A planet killer heading for our core worlds. We must mobilize our fleets immediately." "We must not jump to conclusions," said Dr. Lyranis of the peaceful Silarian Union. Her melodic voice tried to calm the room. "Perhaps this is a natural phenomenon we do not understand, or maybe refugees from some distant catastrophe." The debate continued for hours, but in the end, they all agreed on one thing. They needed to know what this object was and who or what controlled it. The Council's fastest ships were dispatched to intercept the mysterious vessel before it reached the populated systems. 3 days later, Captain Zareth of the exploration vessel Swift Current got the first clear visual of the object. The Palaxian captain had served in deep space for most of his life, but what he saw through his ship's main viewer made his tentacles curl with shock. "By the ancient stars," he whispered. "What have they built?" The object was not sleek and elegant like the ships of the Council races. It was rough, blocky, and covered in thousands of structures that stuck out from its surface. Massive engines, each one bigger than Zareth's entire ship, glowed with white-hot energy at the rear. The hull appeared to be made of some dark metal, scarred and patched in countless places as if it had been repaired many times. But the most shocking thing was not how it looked, but what it contained. Deep scans revealed that the object was hollow, and inside that hollow space were cities. Actual cities with buildings, parks, and what appeared to be millions of life forms moving around. "Captain," his science officer reported, "I am detecting massive industrial complexes, agricultural areas, and what looks like residential zones. This is not a ship. It is a mobile world." As they watched, smaller craft began emerging from bays along the object's surface. These ships were tiny compared to the massive vessel, but still larger than most Council ships. They moved with purpose, spreading out in defensive formations. Zareth opened a communication channel on all known frequencies. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Zareth of the Galactic Council ship Swift Current. Please identify yourself and state your intentions." For long minutes there was no response. Then the communication system crackled with static, and a voice came through speaking in a language none of them had heard before. The universal translator worked frantically to decode the meaning. "This is Admiral Sarah Martinez of the Earth vessel Endeavor. We are peaceful travelers seeking safe passage through your space. We mean no harm to anyone." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Earth? None of them had heard of such a world, but the voice sounded tired, worn down by long years of travel. "Admiral Martinez," Zareth replied carefully. "I am authorized to speak on behalf of the Galactic Council. Your vessel is unprecedented in our experience. We would like to arrange a meeting to discuss your presence in our space." Another long pause. "Then we are willing to talk, Captain, but understand that we have traveled far and lost much to get here. We will defend ourselves if threatened." There was something in the human's voice that made Zareth's skin crawl. It was not anger or aggression. It was the calm certainty of someone who had seen too much combat and was ready for more. Over the next few hours, more council ships arrived. Soon, a small fleet surrounded the massive human vessel, though at a respectful distance. The size difference was incredible. The largest council ship looked like a toy next to the enormous human construct. Admiral Martinez agreed to meet aboard a neutral shuttle halfway between the fleets. As the small craft approached the council ships, Zareth got his first look at the beings who had built this impossible vessel. The humans were smaller than most council races, with only 2 arms and 2 legs. Their skin was a pale brown color, and they had strange fur growing from the tops of their heads. But their eyes held depths of sadness and determination that spoke of terrible journeys and difficult choices, Admiral. Martinez was a middle-aged human female with gray streaks in her dark hair and lines around her eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. She wore a simple blue uniform marked with symbols that meant nothing to the council representatives. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," she said as she stepped aboard the council shuttle. "We have been traveling for a very long time and we are tired. But we are also grateful to find that we are not alone in the universe." High Chancellor Morden, who had come personally for this historic meeting, studied the human carefully. "Admiral Martinez, your vessel is unlike anything we have ever seen. Where do you come from and why have you traveled so far?" The human's expression grew sad. "We come from a world called Earth, many light years from here. Our home was destroyed. The Endeavor carries all that remains of humanity. 50 million souls searching for a new place to call home." The council representatives felt a chill run through them. 50 million beings on a single vessel? The logistics alone were staggering. But more than that, these humans had somehow built a ship capable of carrying their entire civilization across the void between stars. As the shuttle returned to the council fleet, Zareth could not shake the feeling that this first contact would change everything. The humans seemed peaceful enough, but their massive ship spoke of capabilities that the council could barely comprehend. These refugees from a dead world might be exactly what the galaxy needed, or exactly what it should fear. The welcoming ceremony was meant to be beautiful. The Galactic Council had prepared for 3 days, bringing together their most elegant ships to create a display of peaceful intentions. 12 vessels from different species formed a perfect circle around a neutral meeting point, their hulls gleaming with decorative lights that pulsed in harmony. Admiral Sarah Martinez watched the display from the bridge of the Endeavor and felt her stomach tighten with worry. After 3 centuries of fighting for survival in deep space, the human military commander had learned to see threats everywhere. And right now she was seeing a lot of them. "Those ships have us surrounded," said Colonel James Chen, the Endeavor's military leader. He was a tall, thin man with scars on his hands from years of combat repairs. Perfect attack formation. They could hit us from all sides at once. "Maybe they are just trying to be welcoming," suggested Dr. Elena Vasquez, the ship's head diplomat. She was younger than most of the senior staff, but her calm voice often helped ease tensions. Their message said this was a celebration of first contact. Martinez studied the tactical display. The alien ships were small and graceful, nothing like the brutal functional design of the Endeavor. But small could mean fast, and fast could mean dangerous. How long would it take them to reach weapon range if they accelerated toward us? 47 seconds, Chen replied immediately. Their ships are definitely built for speed. The Admiral made her decision. 300 years of protecting 50 million lives had taught her that it was better to be ready for trouble than sorry for not preparing. Bring us to defensive condition 2. Deploy the outer drone screen, but keep weapons powered down. I want to be ready, but I do not want to look threatening. What Admiral Martinez did not know was that the Galactic Council had never seen anything like humanity's idea of defensive measures. Captain Zareth was aboard the Council flagship, Harmony's Light, when his sensors started screaming warnings. "Captain," his science officer shouted, "the human ship is releasing thousands of objects." The main viewer showed a cloud of small craft pouring out of the Endeavor's launch bays like angry insects. Within minutes, there were over 3 million drones forming a protective shell around the massive human vessel. Each drone was only 2 meters long, but they moved with deadly precision, creating overlapping fields of coverage that would be impossible to break through. "Are those weapons?" asked High Chancellor Morden, who was observing from the bridge. "Unknown, sir," the science officer replied, his voice tight with fear. "They are too small for our sensors to get detailed readings, but there are so many of them." On the Endeavor's bridge, Admiral Martinez was trying to follow the diplomatic protocols that Dr. Vasquez had prepared. "Council ships, this is Admiral Martinez. We are honored by your welcome ceremony. To show our respect, we will demonstrate one of our peaceful technologies." The Admiral nodded to her science officer. "Target that asteroid cluster at coordinates 47 Mark 12. Use mining laser array 7, minimum power setting." The officer looked confused. "Ma'am, minimum power on array 7 is still enough to—" "I know what it is enough to do," Martinez interrupted. "Fire when ready." 200 kilometers away, there was a cluster of asteroids that the Council had planned to clear away after the ceremony. The largest rock was about 8 kilometers across, roughly the size of a small city. When the Endeavor's mining laser hit it, the asteroid simply disappeared. There was no explosion, no dramatic flash of light. One moment the asteroid was there, and the next moment it was gone, turned into a cloud of glowing gas that dispersed into space. The silence on the Council ship's communication channels lasted for 30 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. "Did you see that? The entire asteroid just gone. How much power does that require?" That was their minimum setting? On the Endeavor, Admiral Martinez was puzzled by the reaction. "Dr. Vasquez, I thought you said that demonstrating our mining technology would show them we are a peaceful, industrial people." The diplomat's face had gone pale. "Admiral, how big was that asteroid?" "About 8 kilometers. Why?" Dr. Vasquez sat down heavily. "Most Council ships are between 2 and 5 kilometers long. You just showed them that we can destroy their largest vessels with what we consider a peaceful mining tool." The Admiral felt her blood turn cold. 3 centuries of survival instincts had made her forget that other species might not be used to the kind of raw power that humans needed just to stay alive in deep space. The situation got worse when the Council ships began to move. Captain Zareth, trying to calm his panicked crew, ordered his ship to pull back to a safer distance. The other Council vessels followed his lead, their elegant formation breaking apart as they moved away from the terrifying human ship. Colonel Chen saw the alien ships changing position and immediately assumed the worst. "Admiral, they are breaking formation and moving to attack positions. Looks like they are trying to get different angles of approach." "Defensive condition 1, Martinez ordered. "Launch the inner screen drones and charge all weapon systems." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Another 2 million drones poured out of the Endeavor, these ones larger and clearly armed. The ship's massive hull bristled with weapon turrets that had been hidden beneath retractable armor plates. Energy readings spiked as the humans brought their defensive systems online. From the Council ships, it looked like the human vessel was transforming from a simple transport into a mobile fortress. The drone swarms moved with perfect coordination, creating defensive patterns that military experts would later call impossible without direct neural link. "Control. They have over 5 million. Combat drones deployed," reported the tactical officer on Harmony's Light. "Energy readings suggest their main weapons could destroy a planet." High Chancellor Morden stared at the display in shock. "How many beings did they say were on that ship?" 50 million, sir. And they built this battle fortress to protect them?" Captain Zareth was trying to keep his voice calm as he spoke into the communication system. "Admiral Martinez, please power down your weapons. We mean no harm. We are simply repositioning for safety." The reply came back tense and hard. Council ships, you moved to attack positions after we showed our peaceful intentions. We will defend ourselves if necessary, but we do not want to fight. Please return to your original positions and keep your weapons powered down. Dr. Lyranus of the Solarian Union, who was monitoring the communications from her own ship, realized what was happening. They think we are preparing to attack them, she broadcast on the Council channel. Their actions are defensive, not aggressive. Defensive? General Thakmore laughed bitterly. They have enough firepower to sterilize half the galaxy and they call it defensive? But Dr. Lyranus was right. The humans were not preparing to attack. They were preparing to protect their people just as they had done for 300 years of travel through dangerous space. The problem was that human ideas of adequate protection were far beyond anything the Council had ever imagined. For 6 hours, the two fleets faced each other in tense standoff. The Council ships stayed at maximum safe distance while the Endeavour maintained its defensive formation. Neither side wanted to fight, but neither side understood what the other was thinking. Finally, Dr. Vasquez convinced Admiral Martinez to allow her to take a small shuttle to meet with the Council representatives again. We have to explain that this is normal for us, she argued. They do not understand that we have been living under threat for centuries. The meeting took place on a neutral space station that the Council had quickly constructed from modular components. When Dr. Vasquez arrived, she found the alien representatives nervous and frightened. Dr. Vasquez, High Chancellor Morden said carefully, your people have shown us military capabilities that exceed anything in our experience. Are you conquerors? Are you here to make war on the galaxy? The human diplomat shook her head sadly. No, Chancellor. We are refugees. Everything you have seen is simply how we have learned to survive. Where we come from, being able to defend yourself was the difference between life and death. We thought we were showing you our peaceful technology and our normal security measures. She paused, looking at the frightened faces around her. I think we need to start over. Let me tell you about Earth, about what happened to our world and about the journey that brought us here. Maybe then you will understand why we are the way we are. As Dr. Vasquez began to speak, the representatives of the Galactic Council realized that first contact was going to be much more complicated than anyone had expected. These humans were not conquerors or peaceful refugees. They were survivors, forged by circumstances that no Council species had ever faced, and that might make them the most dangerous allies the galaxy had ever seen. The peace talks took place in a specially built conference room aboard the neutral station. Dr. Elena Vasquez sat across from representatives of 12 different alien species, each more curious and worried than the last. The humans had agreed to explain their history, and the aliens had agreed to listen with open minds. Before I tell you about Earth, Dr. Vasquez began, I need you to understand something. Everything we have built, everything we have become, was shaped by one terrible truth. We were not the first intelligent species in our part of the galaxy. She activated a holographic projector that showed a beautiful blue and green world orbiting a yellow star. This was Earth, our home. 4 billion people lived there in peace for thousands of years. We had just begun to explore space when the scouts found us. The hologram changed to show dark angular ships dropping out of hyperspace around the peaceful planet. We called them the Devourers. They were not living beings, they were machines, but machines with intelligence and hunger. They consumed entire worlds, stripping away everything useful and leaving behind empty husks of rock. High Chancellor Morden leaned forward, his ancient eyes wide. The Devourers. We have legends of such creatures from the early days of the Council, but they were just stories, myths to frighten children. They were real, Dr. Vasquez said quietly, and they were very thorough. The hologram showed Earth cities burning as massive mechanical creatures descended from the sky. Forests disappeared in minutes as harvesting machines consumed every living thing. The oceans boiled away as the Devourers extracted every useful molecule. We fought back, of course, but our weapons were designed to fight other humans, not machines that could repair themselves faster than we could damage them. Our entire military was destroyed in the first week. Captain Zareth watched the images with growing horror. How did any of you survive? My ancestors were scientists and engineers working on a deep space colony project, Dr. Vasquez explained. When the attack began, they had 6 months of warning before the Devourers finished with Earth and came for the outer settlements. 6 months to build the Endeavour and get as many people as possible off-world. The hologram now showed the massive ship under construction, thousands of humans working desperately to complete it, while their world died behind them. They saved 50 million people, less than 2% of Earth's population. Everyone else, and she did not need to finish the sentence. The alien representative sat in stunned silence, imagining the loss of an entire civilization. But the escape was only the beginning. Dr. Vasquez continued. The Devourers followed us. For 300 years they hunted us through space. Every time we found a place to rest, they appeared and forced us to run again. That is why the Endeavor is built the way it is. It had to be a fortress, a factory, a city, and a home all at once. General Thakmore, the Corvin representative, was the first to speak. The weapons we saw, the drones, the defensive systems, you built all of that while running for your lives? We had to, Dr. Vasquez replied. The Devourers never stopped hunting us. They destroyed 17 colony sites before we learned to keep moving. We became nomads traveling from system to system, never staying long enough for them to track us down. Dr. Lyranis of the Solarian Union asked the question they were all thinking. Where are the Devourers now? Are they still following you? Dr. Vasquez was quiet for a long moment. We do not know. About 50 years ago, they just stopped. Our long-range sensors detected their ships returning to the dead zone where Earth used to be. They have been quiet ever since. Maybe they gave up, suggested Captain Zareth hopefully. Maybe, Dr. Vasquez agreed. Or maybe they went back to sleep like the legends say they did before. But we could not take the chance. We kept traveling, looking for a place far enough away that they would never find us. High Chancellor Morden was studying something on his personal data pad. Dr. Vasquez, you said the Devourers came from the dead zone. Could you show us exactly where your Earth was located? The human diplomat adjusted the holographic display to show a star map. A red dot appeared at coordinates that made several of the alien representatives gasp in shock. That is in the void sector, whispered Dr. Lyranis. No one goes there. Our deep space monitors have been detecting strange energy readings from that region for the past 20 years, but we assumed it was just natural phenomena. What kind of energy readings? Dr. Vasquez asked, though her expression suggested she already knew the answer. Captain Zareth pulled up his own datapad and shared the information with the group. Massive gravitational distortions, unknown energy signatures, and what our scientists think might be industrial activity on a planetary scale. But it is too far away to get detailed scans. The conference room fell silent as the implications sank in. Dr. Vasquez spoke the words that everyone was thinking. They are waking up. Over the next several hours, the aliens shared everything they knew about the mysterious activities in the void sector. The evidence was disturbing. Energy signatures that suggested massive construction projects, gravitational anomalies that indicated the movement of planet-sized objects, and most troubling of all, the complete disappearance of several automated deep space probes that had been sent to investigate. How long do you think we have? Asked High Chancellor Morden. Dr. Vasquez consulted with her colleagues via communicator, then returned to the table with grim news. Based on the patterns we observed during their last active period, probably 5 to 10 years before they start expanding again. Maybe less. Expanding. General Takamore looked confused. The Devourers do not just destroy randomly, Dr. Vasquez explained. They follow a pattern, consume everything in one sector, build more of themselves, then move on to the next sector. If they are active again, they will not stop with Earth's solar system. They will keep going until they have consumed everything. The alien representatives exchanged worried glances. Their peaceful civilizations had never faced anything like this. Their wars were small affairs, fought over resources or territory. The idea of machine entities that wanted to consume entire worlds was beyond their experience. What do we do? Asked Dr. Lyranis. How do we fight such things? Dr. Vasquez looked around the table at the frightened faces. You learn to think like prey that refuses to die. You build ships that can fight and run at the same time. You make weapons that can crack planets because anything less will not even slow them down. You accept that peace is a luxury you cannot afford. You become like us, she added quietly. High Chancellor Morden was thinking furiously. Dr. Vasquez, your people have been fighting these Devourers for 3 centuries. You must have learned their weaknesses, developed tactics that work against them. We have, she admitted. But mostly we learned how to run away successfully. We fought them when we had to, but our goal was always to escape, not to win. 50 million people cannot defeat machines that can consume star systems, but 50 million people plus the combined fleets of the Galactic Council might be different, suggested Captain Zareth. Dr. Vasquez looked surprised. You would ally with us? Even after seeing what we have become? Especially after seeing what you have become, High Chancellor Morden replied firmly. You are survivors, and survival is exactly what the galaxy needs right now. The negotiations that followed were unlike anything in Council history. Instead of discussing trade agreements and cultural exchanges, they planned for war against an enemy that most of them had never seen. The humans shared their hard-won knowledge of devourer tactics and weaknesses, while the aliens offered their advanced technology and industrial capacity. But as the plans took shape, one thing became clear. The galaxy's peaceful civilizations were not prepared for the kind of warfare that was coming. Their ships were beautiful but fragile, designed for exploration and diplomacy rather than combat. Their weapons were intended for defense against pirates and raiders, not planet-killing machines. We need to change everything, General Thakmor realized. Our entire way of thinking about warfare, about survival. We need to become more like humans. Dr. Vasquez nodded sadly. The Devourers do not care about your art, your philosophy, or your dreams of peaceful exploration. They only understand consumption and growth. If you want to survive, you must be willing to match their brutality. As the first day of negotiations ended, the alien representatives returned to their ships with heavy hearts. They had gained powerful allies and valuable knowledge, but they had also learned that their peaceful galaxy was about to change forever. The humans had brought more than their massive ship to first contact. They had brought a war that would determine whether civilization itself could survive in a universe where machines hungered for everything living beings held dear. And in the dark reaches of the void sector, ancient sensors detected the energy signatures of the Galactic Council's ships. After 50 years of dormancy, the Devourers began to stir, their mechanical minds already calculating the resources contained in this newly discovered cluster of inhabited worlds. The first joint military exercise was a disaster. 3 weeks after the alliance agreement was signed, the Galactic Council's finest warships gathered with human forces for combat training. What should have been a simple coordination drill turned into a demonstration of just how unprepared the galaxy was for what was coming. Admiral Sarah Martinez watched from the Endeavor's bridge as a squadron of elegant Silurian cruisers attempted to match the aggressive maneuvers of human fighters. The alien ships moved like dancers, their hulls gleaming silver against the stars. But when the human pilots executed a sudden combat turn, 2 of the Solarian vessels nearly collided trying to keep up. They are too gentle, Colonel Chen observed, shaking his head. Beautiful ships, but they fly like they are afraid to get scratched. They have never had to fight for their lives, Martinez replied. We need to change that, but carefully. These people are our allies now, not our enemies. The exercise continued for 6 hours, and by the end both sides were frustrated. The Council ships were faster and more maneuverable than anything humans had built. But their pilots hesitated at critical moments, unwilling to take the risks that combat required. The human ships were tough and brutal, but their aggressive tactics confused and frightened the alien crews. After the exercise, Captain Zareth joined Admiral Martinez in a private meeting aboard the Endeavor. The Palaxian officer looked tired and worried. Admiral, I must be honest with you. My people have been at peace for over 400 years. We have forgotten how to be warriors. How can we learn what you know in the time we have left? Martinez studied the alien captain carefully. She had grown to respect Zareth over the past few weeks. He was intelligent, brave, and genuinely concerned for his people. Captain, let me ask you something. What is the most important thing to your crew? Their families, Zareth replied without hesitation. Every being on my ship has loved ones on their home world. Then that is where we start, Martinez said. You do not fight to be a warrior. You fight to protect what matters most. Over the following months, the alliance began to take shape in ways that surprised everyone. The humans established training centers on Endeavor, where alien crews could learn combat tactics. But they also sent their own people to study council, technology and science. Dr. Elena Vasquez found herself working with Dr. Laranis on communication, systems that could coordinate between dozens of different species. The project was challenging. Humans thought in terms of backup plans and redundancy, while the Silarians favored elegant efficiency. Your people prepare for everything to go wrong, Dr. Lyranis observed as they worked on the 15th revision of the command protocols. Because everything usually does go wrong, Dr. Vasquez replied. The first rule of survival is that your primary plan will fail at the worst possible moment. But this creates so much complexity. How do your commanders make decisions quickly, with so many contingencies to consider? Dr. Vasquez smiled. They do not think about all the contingencies. They just know that when something breaks, there will be a backup ready. It lets them focus on the immediate problem instead of worrying about what might happen next. The cultural exchange worked both ways. Human engineers were amazed by alien technology that could repair itself and adapt to new situations automatically. Council scientists had developed materials that were lighter and stronger than anything humans had imagined possible. Look at this, Chief Engineer Maria Santos said as she examined a piece of Zentari smart metal. It can reconfigure its molecular structure in real time. If we put this on our hull plating, it could adapt to different types of weapons automatically. The Zentari engineer working with her, an elderly being named Wistar, was equally impressed by human engineering. Your fusion reactors are so crude, yet they produce 3 times more power than our elegant systems. How is this possible? We do not worry about elegance, Santos replied. We just need them to work when everything else is falling apart. The collaboration led to breakthroughs that neither side could have achieved alone. Human durability combined with alien sophistication produced weapons and ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The first prototype was a modified Corvin destroyer, called the Iron Symphony. The original ship had been a sleek, fast vessel designed for hit-and-run attacks. After human modifications, it looked like a completely different ship. The hull was covered in overlapping armor plates that could shift and adjust to incoming fire. Human-designed weapon turrets bristled from every surface, each one backed up by 2 redundant systems. The elegant bridge had been replaced by a heavily armored command center, buried deep in the ship's core. It is ugly, General Tackmore admitted as he toured the modified vessel, but I have never felt safer on a ship. The Iron Symphony's first combat test came sooner than expected. A Council patrol ship in the Outer Rim had detected strange energy readings near the border of the Void sector. When the patrol went to investigate, they found something that made everyone's blood run cold. Admiral, Captain Zareth reported over the emergency communication channel. We have visual confirmation of Devourer scout ships, 3 vessels, each approximately 50 kilometers long, heading toward the Kepler 442 system. Martinez felt her stomach drop. Kepler 442 was a peaceful system with 2 inhabited worlds and over billion beings. If the Devourers reached it, the slaughter would be unimaginable. How long until they reach the system? She asked. At their current speed, 18 hours. That is not enough time to evacuate, Colonel Chen said grimly. We have to stop them. The Iron Symphony and 5 other modified Council ships raced toward Kepler 442, but they were still 6 hours away when the Devourers entered the outer system. Long-range sensors showed the machine ships beginning their standard approach, spreading out to surround the inhabited worlds while smaller harvester units deployed to begin the consumption process. Then something unexpected happened. The human-trained Council crews did not panic and they did not hesitate. Captain Mordock of the Iron Symphony, a young Corvin who had spent months training on the Endeavor, opened fire on the lead Devourer ship from maximum range. All ships, this is Mordock. Execute attack pattern Gamma 7. Target their harvester units first. Do not let them reach the planets. The battle that followed was unlike anything in Council military history. The modified ships fought with human tactics but alien precision, using their superior speed to stay ahead of the Devourer's weapons while concentrating fire on critical systems. The Iron Symphony took massive damage. Its beautiful hull was scarred and twisted by enemy fire, but it kept fighting. When its main weapons failed, Captain Mordock used the ship itself as a weapon, ramming one of the harvester units and destroying it completely. Iron Symphony to all ships, Mordock transmitted as his vessel limped away from the wreckage. Primary mission accomplished. The harvesters are down, beginning secondary attack on the command ships. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, all 3 Devourer ships were destroyed, but the cost was heavy. 2 Council ships were lost completely, and the others were badly damaged. Worst of all, The victory had come at the cost of revealing the Alliance's capabilities to the enemy. "They know about us now," Admiral Martinez said as she reviewed the battle reports. "The Devourers will adapt their tactics. The next attack will be much larger." High Chancellor Morden nodded grimly.
"Then we must be ready."
"How many ships can you help us modify before they come in force?" Martinez looked at the production schedules her staff had prepared. "With our current resources, maybe 200 ships in the next 6 months. But that will not be enough if they send a full invasion fleet." "Then we need to change our approach," suggested Dr. Laranis. "Instead of modifying existing ships, why not build new ones from the beginning? Combine our technology with your tactics from the start." The idea led to the most ambitious shipbuilding program in galactic history. Human engineers worked with alien scientists to design vessels that incorporated the best of both civilizations. The ships would be fast enough to match Council vessels, but tough enough to survive human-style combat. More importantly, they would be built with human philosophy. Every system would have backups. Every weapon would have redundant power supplies, and every ship would be designed to keep fighting even when everything went wrong. As construction began on the new fleet, Admiral Martinez stood on the Endeavor's observation deck, looking out at the shipyards that now surrounded the massive human vessel. Dozens of species worked together, building weapons of war to protect a peace that most of them had never known was in danger. "Do you think we can win?" Dr. Vasquez asked, joining her at the viewport. Martinez was quiet for a long moment. "I think we can survive, and sometimes that is the same thing." In the distance, the first of the new Alliance ships was taking shape. It was not as elegant as a Council vessel, or as brutal as a human design. Instead, it was something new, a fusion of hope and desperation, beauty and violence that represented the galaxy's best chance against the darkness that was coming. The Devourers had awakened, but they would find that the galaxy had changed since their last hunting season. This time their prey had learned to fight back. The warning came at the worst possible moment. Admiral Sarah Martinez was reviewing the final construction reports for the new Alliance fleet when the deep space sensors detected the massive gravitational distortion approaching from the void sector. The readings were impossible to believe. Over 300 Devourer ships, including several that were larger than anything in the historical records. "Admiral," Lieutenant Commander Torres reported from the sensor station, "the lead formation will reach the Kepler 442 system in 72 hours. The main fleet is 6 hours behind them." Martinez felt her blood turn cold. Kepler 442 was where they had made their stand against the first scout ships 6 months ago. The Devourers were returning to finish what they had started, but this time they were bringing enough force to sterilize the entire sector. "How many ships do we have ready?" she asked. Colonel Chen checked his tactical display. 47 new Alliance vessels plus the Endeavor, and 38 modified Council ships. Total of 86 combat-ready ships against over 300 enemy vessels. The odds were terrible. But Martinez had learned long ago that survival was not about having enough force. It was about using what you had in the right way at the right time. "Send the alert to all Alliance commanders. We make our stand at Kepler 442. If we lose there, they will roll over the core systems like a tide." The next 72 hours were chaos. Ships from across the galaxy converged on the Kepler 442 system, their crews working frantically to prepare for the largest space battle in galactic history. The Endeavor transformed from refugee ship to command fortress, its civilian sections becoming weapons factories and tactical coordination centers. Captain Zareth arrived aboard his new ship, the Defiant Hope, one of the first Alliance vessels to combine human durability with Council technology. The ship was beautiful in a deadly way, sleek lines broken by weapon ports and armor plates that could shift and adapt to incoming fire. "Admiral," he reported as he joined the command staff aboard the Endeavor, "all Council fleets are in position. The evacuation of the inhabited worlds is complete." "What about our defensive preparations?" Martinez asked. "The asteroid mining platforms have been converted to weapon stations as you requested. We have also deployed the drone mines throughout the outer system. If the Devourers follow their usual approach pattern, they will run into them about 4 hours before they reach the planets." Martinez nodded. The plan was simple but desperate. Use the system's natural obstacles and prepared defenses to break up the Devourer formation, then hit them with concentrated fire from the Alliance fleet. It was the kind of plan that only worked if everything went perfectly, which meant it probably would not work at all. "Admiral," Dr. Vasquez approached with a worried expression. I have been monitoring Devourer communications. They are using new frequencies, new encryption. I think they have adapted their coordination system since the last battle. Of course they have, Martinez replied grimly. They are machines. They learn from every encounter. What else have they changed? Their ship designs are different. Heavier armor, redundant systems, improved weapons. It is like they studied our tactics and built countermeasures. Colonel Chen looked up from his planning table. Then we change our tactics again. That is what humans do. We adapt faster than the enemy expects. The Devourers arrived exactly on schedule, their massive ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system like dark meteors. The lead formation was 50 ships strong, each one bristling with weapons and harvester units. Behind them came the main fleet, hundreds of vessels ranging from 50-kilometer destroyers to massive command ships the size of moons. All ships. This is Admiral Martinez, she broadcast on the Alliance command frequency. Remember your training. Fight smart, fight together, and protect each other. Today we show the galaxy that some prey bites back. The first engagement came when the Devourer scouts encountered the drone minefields. Millions of small explosive devices, each one programmed with human cunning and alien precision, swarmed toward the enemy ships. The Devourer's defensive fire destroyed most of them, but enough got through to damage several scout vessels. First blood to us, reported Captain Mordock from the Iron Symphony. But they are adapting their formation already. The Devourers spread out, using their smaller ships to clear paths through the remaining mines while their larger vessels stayed in protected positions. It was exactly what the human tactical manual said they would do, but seeing it happen in real time was still chilling. Phase 2, Martinez ordered. All asteroid stations commence firing. The converted mining platforms opened fire with weapons that could crack planets. Massive energy beams lanced across the solar system, targeting the largest Devourer ships. Several enemy vessels were destroyed outright, their hulls unable to withstand the concentrated firepower. But the Devourers responded quickly, sending swarms of fighter-sized units to attack the asteroid stations. The platforms were tough, built with human engineering principles, but they were not mobile. One by one, they were overwhelmed and destroyed. Phase 3, Martinez called. All Alliance ships execute attack pattern Delta. The Alliance fleet struck like a pack of hunting wolves. The new ships used their speed and maneuverability to stay ahead of the Devourer weapons, while concentrating their fire on critical targets. Human tactics combined with alien technology created devastating results. Devourer ships that had seemed invincible began to fall. Captain Zareth led a squadron of fast attack ships in a daring assault on one of the enemy command vessels. Defiant hope to all ships in Squadron 7. Follow my lead and target their communication arrays. If we can blind them, they cannot coordinate. The attack succeeded, but at terrible cost. Half of Squadron 7 was destroyed in the assault, including several ships with crews that Zareth had trained personally. But the enemy command ship was crippled, its ability to coordinate other vessels severely damaged. As the battle continued, a pattern emerged. The Alliance ships were individually superior to most Devourer vessels, but they were vastly outnumbered. For every enemy ship they destroyed, they lost one of their own. At that rate, the battle would end with the galaxy defenseless against the remaining Devourer fleet. Admiral, Colonel Chen reported, we are losing ships faster than we can afford. At this rate, we will be wiped out in 6 hours. Martinez studied the tactical display, looking for any advantage they could exploit. Then she saw it. The Devourer fleet was concentrating around their largest command ships, using them as coordination centers for their attacks. All ships, this is Admiral Martinez. New plan. We are going to do something very human. We are going to charge directly at their strongest point. The Alliance fleet regrouped around the Endeavor, forming a wedge formation with the massive human ship at the point. It was the kind of desperate, aggressive tactic that no sane military commander would attempt, which was exactly why it might work. Endeavor to all ships, Martinez broadcast. We are going to ram straight through their main formation and target their command vessels directly. Stay close, watch each other's backs, and remember, we are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every living being in the galaxy. The charge was magnificent and terrifying. The Alliance fleet accelerated toward the heart of the Devourer formation, their weapons blazing and their hulls gleaming with the light of explosions. The Endeavor led the way, its massive bulk absorbing incredible damage while its weapons carved a path through the enemy fleet. Hull breach on decks 40 through 50, reported Chief Engineer Santos. We are losing atmosphere, but the bulkheads are holding. Keep us moving, Martinez ordered. Whatever happens, we do not stop. The breakthrough came when Captain Mordoc's Iron Symphony rammed one of the enemy command ships, sacrificing itself to cripple a vessel that was coordinating dozens of other Devourer units. Without central coordination, the enemy formation began to break apart. Now, Martinez shouted. All ships target the remaining command vessels. Do not let them regroup. The battle became a desperate melee as Alliance ships swarmed over the Devourer command vessels. Ship after ship was destroyed on both sides, but slowly the tide began to turn. The Devourers, for all their technological superiority, had been designed to fight predictable opponents. They could not adapt fast enough to counter the chaotic, desperate tactics of beings fighting for their lives. When the last command ship exploded, something strange happened. The remaining Devourer vessels stopped fighting and began to withdraw. Without their coordination network, they reverted to basic programming, returned to base, and await new orders. They are retreating, Captain Zareth reported, his voice filled with amazement. Admiral, we have won! Martinez looked around the Endeavor's damaged bridge. Half her crew was wounded. The ship's hull was breached in dozens of places, and they had lost over 60% of the Alliance fleet. But they had won. Signal all ships, she ordered. Begin search and rescue operations for survivors, and send a message to the Galactic Council. The Devourers can be beaten, but only if we stand together. As the rescue operations continued, Dr. Vasquez approached the Admiral with a report that changed everything. Admiral, I have been analyzing the Devourer communication logs we captured.